Okay, so how do you pitch yourself as a speaker? So there's a series of things that have worked over and over again for the clients that I've worked with that have also done speaking to market their business. And I just want to share this with you because it's really a system, right? So the first thing is to attend an event that you want to speak at when possible. So if it's in your city or whatever, attend the event, and get the lay of the land so that you can best serve and share how you can help, speak at their next event. The second thing, I want you to meet the leader and introduce yourself. Don't pitch yourself, but instead be in service. Find out the biggest needs in the organization or the company or what have you, that wherever the event is that you attend, and offer to help. Okay. So just go and get out of your comfort zone if you're not a natural extrovert, and go right up to the leader and introduce yourself, right? And ask them, so, this is so great. So how can I best be of service to you? Or what's the biggest need you have in your organization? And maybe it's just they want to help get the word out, and then offer to share it on your social media. Like, be in service, okay? And then the third step is, after you attend the event, I want you to send an email or be totally crazy and call the organization's leader. You can pick up the phone and actually call them, to talk or set up, a call or something like that. But, you can call them or at a minimum, send an email and just let them know, like, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you. Great event, that type of thing. And then the fourth step with that email or call that you make, that's when you can pitch yourself as a speaker and share your topic title, right? And maybe an overview with a couple of takeaways, 3 to 4 takeaways that best serve their audience. It's not about you, it's about them, right? Because we're going to be in service, and this is what we're going to do. So you want to send a thank you, email. So great. Hey, if you're looking to book a speaker, I would love to serve your audience. Here's my typical talk that I could customize for your group. Give that title. Give a little brief overview of the value you provide to the audience with a couple, like say 3 to 4 takeaways and bullets, right? You want to think in terms of bullets. They're probably busy. They may get pitched often. You want to stand out a little bit. So, and then the takeaways, and then with a call to action of some sort. So, and then within that email, offer to promote the event that you're speaking at to your audience as well. Hey, if you have me, come speak at your event, I'm totally happy to share this event with my audience so that you can get more eyeballs or get more, people to attend and that kind of stuff, get more visibility for your organization. And then with it, within this email, and you may call them and say, hey, and then do a follow-up email. That works too. You want to provide a link or a folder type of thing that has a short bio, your headshot, and any contact information. Okay. Or if you have that media page on your website, you can link to that, that type of thing, or your one sheet, right? You could share the PDF version of your one sheet. And then send that out, and follow up if needed. If they don't reply back in a couple of days, do a follow up, and reach out again. And that's what people do. A lot of the times I think we think speaking is something that comes to us, and it does eventually, but you got to grease the wheels. You got to get it going. And a lot of speakers are pitching themselves. Okay. I mean, you can hire an agency to also pitch you. There's some cost associated to that. And, sometimes they won't take people until, you're a big enough name type of thing. But, just know you don't have to do this for the rest of your life. But to get started, you have to pitch yourself. Okay. But we want to lead with service and finding out needs and stuff like that. And then you can tailor your talk title to really address that, to make it, make them know that you heard them of what their audience needs. Okay. So that's the 6 steps to pitch yourself as a speaker. So you may be asking yourself, how do I go find these speaking opportunities, Tara? Great. These sound great. Now what do I do? So again, you want to do your research. You can Google networking events near me. Usually they have speakers, okay? So what typically happens for organizations, like if you want to just start speaking at your local some chapter, like maybe an ABWA or some Rotary Club or whatever, they'll usually list out their upcoming events. And if they have a speaker, it'll be listed with typically their profile picture and their topic. But maybe they have one for the next month, but then the next one just says meeting and they don't have a featured speaker yet. That's the perfect opportunity, because a lot of speaker event organizers, they don't necessarily go out. Like for me, I booked all my speakers out for the year, but a lot of them just do it month by month. And so you can actually say, hey, I noticed at your September event, you don't have a speaker listed. If you're looking for a speaker, here's what I can offer your group and how I can serve them. Okay. So that's a great way to do that. You can host your own virtual or live event as well. So sometimes the speaking opportunities, instead of going to them, we need to create it. And then by creating it, and for me, having my own live events and stuff like that, people who were in the audience who had live events were like, oh, will you come speak at my event? So sometimes if you can't find them, create it. You could be the person and it doesn't have to be anything like overwhelming or anything like that. All right. Host your own. You can also reach out to local networking chapter leaders. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier with, say, an ABWA or Rotary Club or something local, right? Is like, to get started, start getting your name out there, start practicing that talk and whatnot, reach out to them. Hey, I didn't know, if you have your speakers booked for the year, this is what I do. And this is the value I can add to your group. It's not about me, it's about them, right? That's what you want to be thinking. So position all your language around them, okay? And how you can be in service. So reach out to the local networking chapter leaders. You can also put together a virtual summit and get, 10 people, 6, 5, whatever people that serve the same audience, but aren't necessarily conflicting for the same business type of thing. But you can put together a virtual summit and have, and that's a speaking opportunity, and give yourself a slot. Don't just be the coordinator, be the person who opens it up and the person who closes it. It's your virtual summit. You can drive it the way that you want, right? Another thing to find speaking opportunities, it's so simple, but it's getting referrals. Just ask. So get referrals from other speakers. Hey, where have you, found that you really enjoy speaking, or, what have you? But just ask for referrals. Ask your clients, hey, what conferences, what events do you attend that have speakers, and then do the reach out. And let's see, and then follow up. Oh, you can follow other speakers and watch where they speak, and then follow up, do the same thing. So people who are in a similar industry or have a similar niche, if they're out speaking, look at where they're speaking. And just, I'm not saying to mimic them exactly, but look where they're speaking and then take it and take your uniqueness and position it and pitch it in a way that will serve the leader and the audience in a different way. Take a different twist on things, right? Also, speaking opportunities, podcasting. Podcasting is huge. Whether you want to have your own podcast, which is a great platform, and if you have your own, it's not just always about interviewing everyone else. It's also about, you being the expert on your own podcast, right? So you want to do that, or you can be a guest on other people's podcasts. They call it guest podcasting. And, pitch yourself the same way to be a guest on the podcast. And usually if you have a podcast, if you invite someone else who has a podcast, they'll invite you to be on yours. So you see that quite a bit as well. So podcasting is a great way to have a speaking opportunity. Also, you can guest speak at other events as well. So be a guest speaker and just show up. Like for me, I don't show up at anyone else's event expecting, I'm going to take over and get all their clients and No, I'm going to play nice, right? I'm going to help promote their event and whatever they're selling and stuff like that. Like be a good supporter and serve an audience, right? And give a freebie. And it really goes a long, long way. And know there are pay to play options when it comes to events. That just means, and it's okay to do it. I've did it a couple of times where I would sponsor an event and I got to get up and speak for 5 minutes as part of the sponsorship. Pay to play, it's a marketing expense. It may cost $500 or $1,000 to have a guest spot, but if it's full of 100 of your perfect coaching clients, future coaching clients, we'll call them, it's worth it. And usually if you pay to play, then you can usually pitch something. So it's another option to get it going. You know what I mean? So, and then the last is start speaking. And again, just book a gig from a gig. It's a great way to get started. Book a gig from a gig. You want to be super strategic about if speaking is going to be one of your core marketings for your coaching business. I want to have 4 speaking gigs a month. I want to have 2. I want to impact 100 people through my speaking each month, or 1,000, whatever your goal is, but be super intentional with that. Okay. All right. So remember, you have to play the county fair before you get to Madison Square Garden. Okay. So what that means is you've got to if this is new to you, and maybe you've been speaking forever, go straight for Madison Square Garden. That's like the big arena in New York City, right? So, New York City or New Jersey? I think it's New York City. So, but you want to play, but sometimes you got to play the county fair locally or in the town next year's. And something I tell a lot of my speaker clients is it's hard to be a hero in your own backyard. So sometimes if you go one city away or one town away, it's a totally different vibe. So just know you got to, speaking isn't just closing your eyes and learning how to speak and having your topic and then instantly getting a stage full of 5,000 people, right? You got a lot of really good speakers, just like comedians. They played in the basement dive bars and then they went to the county fair and then they go to Madison Square Garden. So there's just, give yourself the grace and the space to build and grow from this. Okay. Just don't give up, right? Don't give up when it comes to speaking. There is no competition in that extra mile. So that just is a wise words around just doing it and staying consistent at it and going that little extra mile, which are those different tips I gave you, which is being in service and all that kind of stuff. And people remember that, and you can always book your gig from a gig. All right. So the last thing I want to share with you is, when can you get paid as a speaker? The answer is very simple. It's anytime. Okay. A lot of speakers will do speaking gigs for free to list build. They make connections, they gain experience, they build their brand, they're getting the word out about their coaching. So that's very normal. And so it's like, sometimes you don't even look at it as like, I speak for free. You're getting something on the back end. You should be, which is whether it's connections or experience or whatever, or getting your freebie out and putting them through your funnels or getting consultations or whatever. That's totally normal. Okay. Just make sure you get something in return for your time. As you grow, you can charge more for your speaking services. Okay. And speaking becomes a profit center in your coaching business when you're a paid speaker. Okay. So if you don't know what to charge, when somebody is like, hey, how much do you charge? Or if you decide you're going to be a paid speaker, what have you, always ask the organization their budget. Okay, here's what you do. Someone's like, oh, how much do you charge as a speaker? Well, the first thing I would say is, what's your budget range? I like to use budget range. Ranges are very comfortable for people. When in doubt and you don't know, you ask for the range or you give a range. What's your organization's budget range? And go from there. And they may say, in their mind, I'm like, oh, I'm hoping I get 1,000 plus travel or whatever. They may come back with, oh, it's 5,000. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, perfect. I'd love to speak. Or sometimes you want 5,000 and they say, well, our budget's 1,500. And you can go, oh, okay. And if it's something you want to do and it feels in alignment with your audience and who you want to serve, then you could be like, oh, you know what? I could do it for 1,500. Do you mind if I get the list of attendees afterwards, right? So I can send them emails. You can negotiate in some things or, and just make it win-win, okay? And then when you decide on a price, you get the deposit. You'll send over a, some sort of proposal, invoice for the deposit at a minimum. Sometimes they'll just pay you in full. You want to book an alignment call with them to find out the organization's needs that are paying you. So it's a little different than free. I mean, sometimes for free, I would still do an alignment call, but if it's paid, I definitely want to do an alignment call. What issues are you struggling with? What are some things you want to make sure that I address so that you can tailor your talk, right? And then you want to add those into your topic and tailor it so that they're really getting a lot of value, okay? So up next, I'm going to teach you another marketing strategy, which is all about getting publicity. So I hope this is getting your wheels turning and you're thinking, what are the couple of traditional marketing strategies that you want to use in your coaching business?